Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how to use sliders to affect null objects and an animated layer, which is the mouth, in order to change the mouth position to smile and frown, and also to adjust accordingly when the jaw is opening and closing. The mouth, again, I'm going to do it exactly the same as I've done all these guys. Very much similar as the eyebrows. They're just going to have their own little controllers. The middle one will attach here, and then I'll have two side ones, and that'll help control smiles and whatever else. The first thing to do is to set up some new null objects again, and I'm going to change the color of them so that they're specific, and also I'm going to make them smaller because they're sort of a secondary null object. They're not one of my primary face controls. And I'm going to put one here at the corner of the mouth, and I'll put one over here at the other corner, and I'm going to try to use this one for the center of the mouth, so we'll see how that works. I may actually also even put one here so that when the chin pulls down, the mouth can stretch and expand a little bit. We'll see, it might not work. One thing I wanted to add really quickly, when doing the puppet tool for the mouth, you want to make sure that you use the biggest, the mouth in its largest position as your starting point for the mouth. When you create a puppet tool on anything, it typically follows the current alpha channel. So when the mouth is small, the alpha channel it's showing up here as differently, but I'm just going to get rid of this. So if I were to do this at this size, you can see the mesh is only around this mouth, and if I move forward through the timeline, that mesh changes. Now that mesh is too small, and what it'll actually do is when I move that around, it's going to cut a hole in the mouth, and we don't want that. So the best way to work is if the mouth is in its most open state, and you configure your nulls around that open state mouth. And I'm going to add these in now. So I'm just also going to move these nulls a little bit, these left and rights, bring them in just a touch. Seeing as my open mouth is it's going to be my key position, even though it's not the normal position. Okay, so I'm going to add these pins really quick to the mouth. So I'm putting one at both sides, and I'm also going to put one out here up at the top, where this null object is. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to expand the mesh by 5. As you can see, it makes the mesh go a little bit wider. They'll do 10. It will hopefully, you know, there you go. You can see it controlling it. It should be fine. I don't intend on really using this to try to make the mouth talk. It's more to form the mouth a little bit. I may actually just starch the bottom of here a little bit, so let's move that down. Just starching the bottom lip just a bit. Okay, so let's try that. And I'll just move that pin around a little bit. Okay, so that's better. I'll never do this really unless I'm planning on screwing up the face quite a bit. It's more just so that these can follow the jaw. If the jaw opens up a lot, or if I want to give him a slight smile, I can pull these around. Okay, so I'm going to link all those up and we'll check it out. Okay, so the lips are finished. I have the puppet pins attached to some null objects. Those null objects are now actually controlled by some sliders. Let's have a look at their coding here. I've copied exactly the same code I used on the cheeks and on the jaw and the eyebrows. Used the exact same code on the mouth. So on the X position, I have the smile slider affecting the X position, and I also have the jaw and the mouth shape and the smile affecting the Y position. What's happening here essentially is that as the jaw gets more and more open, the corners of the mouths come down so that he doesn't go into an instant smile, because if this bottom piece is coming down, if this bottom piece moves around, you notice he smiles right away. So I also need these corner pieces to come down as well if his mouth is opening, in order to keep his mouth the same shape. So that is essentially on all of them, all the pieces here. They're pretty much exactly the same, just treated with slightly different values. There is no There's no shift on this one on the x-axis for anything. And again, I'm changing it ever so slightly as the jaw opens and the mouth changes the shape. The smile brings this guy up a little bit, so as he smiles, his mouth gets narrower and these cheeks come out. We can have a quick look at that. So if I go to the smile slider here, I'm just going to disable this other coding. You can actually see that it pulls the corners of his mouth up and over, and if I make him frown, it brings everything closer together and brings it down. So it actually works out really well. It works exactly like I'd like it to. And also on top of that, when the jaw is opening and closing, currently his mouth is closed, but even as the jaw moves, the whole mouth moves so that it doesn't turn automatically into a grin. Alright, so the mouth is all rigged up, the jaw is all rigged up, but there's something special about the way this mouth works now when it opens and closes. When the mouth shape happens, we have slightly opened and all the way open. It's looking a little weird right now because there's some distortions built in there. But what needed to happen is the jaw needs to follow that. So when the mouth is slightly open, the jaw needs to come down a bit. When it's all the way open, it needs to come down even further. The one thing I had to get rid of, though, was the smooth transition of the jaw as the mouth opened. So what you can see here is the jaw sliding along as the mouth opens, and I don't like that look. It looks too disconnected. So what I added was a little expression, math.floor, effect mouth shape slider. What essentially that does is math.floor rounds the number to the nearest whole. So now that value will only do 0, 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5. And that way I don't get that that slipping that will happen as the mouth opens. I also wanted to have it so the mouth shape influenced the jaw as it does. So I've called up effect jaw slider plus the mouth shape, and I've multiplied that value by 25 in order to make the jaw respond to the mouth opening. So on top of that, I wanted to be able to manipulate the jaw further so that if the kid's breathing with his mouth open, or for instance his mouth is closed but maybe he's grinding his teeth or he's setting his jaw or anything like that, I still have mobility there. I did want an independent relationship from the jaw to the mouth. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to take a null object and use it as a look at point for your character's eyes. So the pupils will follow a single object around that it can focus on instead of having to control each pupil individually.